We'll be discussing how to rebuild your emergency fund so you can get back on track and have that financial stability and peace of mind. Having an emergency fund is an essential part of financial stability. It can provide a safety net during difficult times, help reduce stress and worry, and protect your credit and long-term financial well-being. The first step in rebuilding your emergency fund is to determine how much money you need. This will depend on your personal financial situation and the cause of the depletion of your emergency fund. Here are a few steps you can follow to determine how much money you need to rebuild your emergency fund. 1. Review your budget. Look at your monthly expenses and determine how much money you need to cover your basic needs. This should include things like rent or mortgage payments, utilities, groceries, and any other necessary expenses. 2. Determine your emergency fund goal. The general rule of thumb is to aim for an emergency fund that can cover 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. If you're self-employed or have a volatile income, you may want to aim for a larger emergency fund. 3. Calculate your savings gap. Subtract your current emergency fund balance from your emergency fund goal to determine how much money you need to save. For example, if your emergency fund goal is $10,000 and your current balance is $2,000, you need to save an additional $8,000. 4. Consider your potential expenses. Think about any potential emergencies that you may face in the near future, such as car repairs or home maintenance. Make sure to factor these potential expenses into your emergency fund goal. By following these steps, you can determine how much money you need to rebuild your emergency fund and set a savings goal. Keep in mind that rebuilding your emergency fund may take time, but it's important to stay committed to your goal. Once you've determined how much money you need to rebuild your emergency fund, it's important to identify the cause of the depletion. This will help you understand what led to the depletion of your emergency fund and make a plan to prevent it from happening again in the future. There are a few common causes of emergency fund depletion. 1. Unexpected expenses. This could be anything from a car repair to a medical bill. Unexpected expenses are a normal part of life, and it's important to have an emergency fund in place to cover these types of expenses. 2. Overuse. If you find yourself frequently dipping into your emergency fund for non-emergency expenses, it's a sign that you may be overusing it. It's important to only use your emergency fund for truly unexpected expenses and not as a general savings account. 3. Lack of saving. If you haven't been saving consistently, your emergency fund may not have had a chance to grow. It's important to make saving for an emergency fund a priority in your budget. By identifying the cause of the depletion of your emergency fund, you can better understand what led to the depletion and make a plan to prevent it from happening again in the future. This will help you get your emergency fund back on track and provide financial stability in the long run. Once you've identified the cause of the depletion of your emergency fund, it's important to make a plan to address it to prevent future depletion. Here are a few steps you can take to prevent your emergency fund from being depleted again. Before we get to that, I would like to introduce the sponsor of this video, the Frugal Living Handbook. Our comprehensive ebook covers everything you need to know about living a frugal and rewarding life, including creating a budget, identifying areas for cost cutting, and much more. Order our ebook via the first link in the video description and start your journey towards financial stability and security. Let's get back to the video and the steps you can take to prevent your emergency fund from being depleted again. 1. Cut unnecessary expenses. Look at your budget and identify any expenses that you can cut or reduce. This could be things like subscription services or dining out. By cutting unnecessary expenses, you can free up money to put towards rebuilding your emergency fund. 2. Increase income. Consider ways to increase your income, such as taking on a side hustle or negotiating a raise at work. This will give you more money to put towards rebuilding your emergency fund. 3. Use budgeting tools. Use tools like budgeting apps to track your spending and identify areas where you can save money. This will help you stay on track with your budget and make sure that you're putting enough money towards rebuilding your emergency fund. 4. Set up automatic transfers. Consider setting up automatic transfers from your checking account to your emergency fund to make saving easier. This will help you consistently contribute to your emergency fund and rebuild it faster. By following these steps and making a plan to address the cause of the depletion of your emergency fund, you can prevent future depletion and get your emergency fund back on track. It's time to set a goal for how much you want to save. This will help you stay focused and motivated as you work towards rebuilding your emergency fund. Here are a few tips for setting a savings goal. 1. Be specific. Set a specific dollar amount for your savings goal rather than a vague goal like save more money. This will give you a clear target to work towards and help you track your progress. 2. Make it achievable. Set a goal that is achievable but still challenging. If your goal is too ambitious, you may become discouraged and give up. On the other hand, if your goal is too easy, you may not feel motivated to put in the effort to reach it. 3. Set a timeline. Give yourself a deadline to reach your savings goal. This will help you stay on track and keep you motivated to save. By setting a specific, achievable, and time-bound goal, you can stay focused and motivated as you work towards rebuilding your emergency fund. Remember to review your goal regularly and make adjustments as needed to ensure that you're on track to reach it. Now that you've set a goal for how much you want to save to rebuild your emergency fund, it's important to determine how much you can realistically save each month. This will help you stay on track and ensure that you're putting enough money towards your emergency fund. To determine how much you can realistically save each month, follow these steps. 1. Review your budget. Take a look at your monthly income and expenses to see how much money you have available to save. Be sure to factor in any fixed expenses like rent or mortgage payments and variable expenses like groceries and entertainment. 2. Set a savings target. Based on your budget, determine how much money you can realistically set aside each month for your emergency fund. It's important to balance your savings goal with your other financial priorities and not overburden yourself. 3. Make adjustments. If you find that you're unable to save as much as you'd like, consider making adjustments to your budget to free up more money for savings. This could involve cutting unnecessary expenses or finding ways to increase your income. By following these steps and determining how much you can realistically save each month, you'll be able to stay on track with your emergency fund rebuilding plan and reach your goal faster. Remember to review your budget and savings target regularly to make sure you're on track. Once you've rebuilt your emergency fund, it's important to review your budget and emergency fund on a regular basis to ensure that you're on track and making progress. This will help you make any necessary adjustments and ensure that you're saving enough to maintain a healthy emergency fund. Here are a few steps you can follow to review your budget and emergency fund. 1. Review your budget. Look at your income and expenses to see if you're on track to meet your financial goals. Are you saving enough for your emergency fund and other financial priorities? Are you spending within your means? 2. Look for areas to cut expenses. Are there any unnecessary expenses that you can cut or reduce to free up more money for your emergency fund? Are there any areas where you can save money, such as by shopping around for better deals or negotiating lower rates with service providers? 3. Monitor your emergency fund balance. Keep track of your emergency fund balance and make sure that it's growing. If you find that you're not saving enough, consider making adjustments to your budget to free up more money for your emergency fund. By reviewing your budget and emergency fund on a regular basis, you can ensure that you're on track and make any necessary adjustments to stay on track with your financial goals. This will help you maintain a healthy emergency fund and provide financial stability in the long run. In this video, we covered the steps for rebuilding an emergency fund. Here's a quick recap of the steps. 1. Assess the damage. Determine how much money you need to rebuild your emergency fund. Identify the cause of the depletion and make a plan to address the cause to prevent future depletion. 2. Find ways to save money. Cut unnecessary expenses, increase income through side hustles or negotiating a raise, and use budgeting tools to track your spending and identify areas for improvement. 3. Build your emergency fund. Set a goal for how much you want to save, determine how much you can realistically save each month, and choose a high-yield savings account or money market fund to maximize your interest earnings. 4. Maintain your emergency fund. Review your budget and emergency fund on a regular basis. Make adjustments as needed to ensure that you're saving enough to maintain a healthy emergency fund, and consider setting up automatic transfers to your emergency fund to make saving easier. By following these steps, you can rebuild your emergency fund and achieve financial stability. Remember to stay committed to your goal and make saving for your emergency fund a priority in your budget.